is going on, DJ Nation? Ken and Kim here, bringing you another Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast this week for the Olympics. As usual, I am here with everybody's favorite South African, Byron Lindeque. Byron, we missed you last week. What is up, my friend?
Kenny, I missed you too, driving through the cornfields on my two cheeks, but we had a great time doing that. You hit a winner. Hey, if I have to disappear every now and then, get Byron on here to help you keep that tear that you've been on for this year, I'm all down for it, baby.
Always do well when Barrow's on the show. Even if he's taking my place and I listen, I end up doing well. Something about Ryan when he comes on the show just ends up doing well. It was a great week. But before we move on, we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code Mayo. Get yourself a deposit bonus up to $250. Again, hit a nice little underdog play for the final round. Did not post it because I don't win when I post it. It's actually been hilarious. Like, I've been down to like my last $100 like 5 times in the last like 2 months, and I've always hit that Sunday, like on the last $100 that I got. So it's been nice not having to put money in. I've only put in like $700 ever in Underdog, and I've withdrawn about 11,000. So it's been very, very, very good.
Sorry, Kenny.
Yeah. It's been very good for me. I didn't win 11,000 last week. I won like $630 on the final one. And I think I put in like 500 for the week. So that was nice. Did Cascade Cornerstones were fine, but I did have Vegas in my cash lineup. Also had Vegas on the betting card with an each way. So hopefully you guys tailed that. That was outright win number 6 of the year. I had Decky, Scotty at the Players, Akshay, Rory at Wells Fargo, Pendrith, and then now the 6th one was Vegas this past week. And so that was nice to get that little chunk added on to the bankroll. The tournament itself, it didn't feel like anyone really wanted to win on Sunday. And when you look at the people that were in contention, you could see why. Not the biggest group of winners coming from there. I mean, the only guys that played well on Sunday, Pendrith had a decent round. Of course, he's won before this year. Grazerman went 8 under, but like people that were like in the top 5, I think Vegas was like 1 under for the day. Didn't really move that well. Geyserman with that really unbelievable shot on 18. I mean, I guess he had nothing to lose, right? I can't say that because these guys are fighting for points, right? Try to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. If he hits that in the water and goes down to like 5th or 6th, it's a pretty big movement when it comes to FedEx Cup points. And to have the balls to do that, I guess the way he explained it was all he had to do was hook it anywhere. Because if you miss left there, it's not horrible where you are. Even if you missed way left, you could have got it in the bunker or would have been in the rough, but he would have had a shit ton of fucking green to work with if it came down to it. Still really incredible shot by him. I mean, I can't really even name the other guys that were in contention. I mean, like Kuchar, right? So Kuchar was in there. Old man was battling it out. He didn't play horribly, except he had some hiccups in the back 9 that kept him out of it. I don't think he birdied anything on his last like 9-8 holes because that was one of my plays. Kuchar under 4 birdies, and he had 3 for the day, and I don't think he had one past the 11th hole or 12th hole. That one par 5 on the back, the first par 5, and then he didn't birdie the last par 5 on 18, which is very, very nice, and kept me and gave me that win on Underdog. What you here? One thing I will say, I really like that course. Like, if you're off, you can shoot crazy high numbers, right? Like Hisatune was like pretty good for the round 1 and shot like 83 on Friday, which sucked because he was in my best GPP line. I had Vegas, 4 of the guys in the top 10. And Hisatune.
And then
so that shit hurt a little bit. So I could definitely, but I mean, if you're a little bit off and you hit into the water over there, I mean, you can, like I said last week, birdies and train wrecks. It was a lot of fun to watch because there were plenty of birdies, but there are plenty of just crazy, horrible shots. I mean, you think of Sahith on 18 with the water ball.
I had a T5 on him. and
Yeah.
he finished
Oh
sick because
man.
of that shot.
Oh, it hurts. I
Tough
mean,
scenes
what's
there.
that? Patrick Fishburne with like a 7 or an 8 or
Sam
something on
Burns
there.
took a 7 on 10 on the final
Yeah.
round.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, like, yeah, I like that course. I'm a fan of that course. I know it probably doesn't get that much pub, and architecturally wise, it's not like, you know, yeah,
it's
I
entertaining.
don't.
We
Yeah,
give it like
I thought it was fun
99% of
watch.
people watching
Yeah,
it don't
yeah,
give a shit what kind of it's just like, is it entertaining for me to watch right now?
yeah.
Now, I never paid any attention to this tournament until I climbed in the car on Saturday and I saw we was at the top of the leaderboard. I was like, what is this? Is this an alt event? It was like, who the hell is up there? But hey, the boys came through. Maverick McNeely. I've said this about Taylor Montgomery, very talented golfer, horrible competitor. And I think Mav is that guy too, because when he's under the gun, he just doesn't want to win. He of all people, in my opinion, will never win a golf tournament. So along with
You don't
Taylor
think he'll
Montgomery,
ever win?
no,
I
unless
was a
unless he
little bitter.
boxes his way into it, like goes out early on Sunday and goes
You're
rogue.
gonna get a day when his putter is just insane and he's gonna take down something.
Yeah, but can he?
I think that's the way it's gonna be. Like down by 5, going into the final round, and his putter gets in God mode, and he gets like 9 birdies, 10 birdies, and wins the event that way.
But he's starting to play well enough now that he's not going to have events like this where he's going to be able to beat up on the scrubs. He's going to be playing against the big boys, and in those moments, he's just not going to have it. So he's going to have limited events to kind of get that job done. I'll go out on a whim and say he's never going to win a tournament. I know it's probably unlikely, but hey, lots of guys don't do that either. So maybe we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, Kitayama was up there, Thigala, Fishburne. I mean, it definitely felt like a non-signature event, basically, is what it comes down to nowadays, and how it works out. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, of course, having a runner definitely makes it a lot more fun on Sunday. But I enjoyed it. Anything else to add about that event before we move on?
Not much. I didn't really watch too much of it, but
yeah, we could talk about LIV. John Rahm finally winning an event. I don't know. It's a little weird. Here's the thing about that. It was him and Hatton were tied going into their final holes, and Rahm parred, and Hatton had a 3.5-foot par putt to go to a playoff, right? And like with the team aspect of LIV, and I know a lot of people don't like it, and that's fine. I'm not the biggest fan of it either, but it's there. It's a part of LIV. Like, do you think it's possible that Hatton knowing that he needs Rahm for the rest of the season, for the LIV finals, to be in a better mind frame than he is now, to finally get that win under his belt? Because for them to do what they've been doing without him winning has been pretty impressive, because it's been Hatton and like Caleb Surratt and like some other random dude, right?
Kieran Vincent. From Zimbabwe.
Like it's not like, and then Hatton and fucking Rahm. And so do you think it's possible that Hatton...
How bad was the putt? Was it like a brick? Did it lip out?
He didn't even hit the hole.
Yeah.
He didn't hit the hole from about 3.5 feet. It was basically roaring from...
I don't think Hatton's got that touch of a genie in him. Like what we did at the US Open, he fell down the leaderboard on that Sunday. Big time moments. I don't know. To take down John Rahm, maybe he bricked it. But then Rahm crying...
just to help his teammate. Help the mind frame of his teammate for future, tournaments. Yeah. Because they want to win. You win that team event at the end, that's a lot of money, right? I mean, that's a lot of money. You win that team event at the end, and your best player is going through ups and downs. Does this put into the equation, well, let's give it to him? Like, I don't think this would ever happen on the PGA Tour. It would never happen on the PGA Tour. But
it can't happen on the PGA Tour.
But I mean, I could see it happening at a LIV event because of the team functionality. And that putt wasn't even fucking close by Hatton. Now, it wasn't easy. It wasn't straight. It definitely had a nice left to right curve, which is not the best thing for a short putt for a right-handed guy. But still, I in the back of my head, I was like, did he do that on purpose? I don't know. I
doubt it. But also...
you know what? I want to hear about your trip. I want to hear about this bicycle trip across the great Midwest of America from a South African guy. I want to hear some stories. How do we go?
So my buddy, my best friend, Terrence, decides, like, he's been in the country with me since my sophomore year. We've been friends for 12 years. We've been best friends, but he was supposed to leave to Zambia for good this year in July. So we were chatting about him coming along with me, and it turns out our plans kind of fell through. But now he's leaving in August, and somehow he thought that he was still coming on Ragbri with us. On the way to Ragbri, 2 hours, we have to drive from Des Moines all the way to the west coast of...
What is that?
Ragbri is the Register's annual great bike ride across Iowa. So you're biking 7 days, depending on the route, 500 to 400 miles, different elevations, all that shit. And you're just doing it 7 days. Every night there's a concert. You're just drinking beer. You're just partying, having a good time. Also,
and riding your bike from
and riding your bike.
Day? That seems like the worst fucking thing.
45 plus, awesome. You know, like the minimum is 45. And so Terrence doesn't show up. He sends me a message 2 hours into our ride to the west coast there, the west side of Iowa. He's like, hey, what time we leaving? And I'm like, bro, we like 2 hours on the way. Like, I didn't even know you were going to be in the country. But anyway, 1:45 in the morning, Terrence has hitchhiked his way with an RB from Ohio all the way to where we were. We found him. He sent me a message. He's like, I'm on the way with these people. They're bringing me. So I hold his ass. He's barely pedaled across, anything this year. So he's doing it with me. So I was just muling him along because I'm a big fat boy and he's tiny and he just gets in my slipstream and off we went. But with him along, things just get wild. So we watch concerts every night. They have free concerts for you at the towns that you stay over. Meet these random people. My father-in-law's cousin, where we stayed at, he's never seen this guy in forever. Turns out he missed a pattern for a tailgate by 2 weeks. He had this pattern for this tailgate that had the crisscross designs on the back of trailers and stuff that help you have aerodynamic designs. He was the reason that's in the world right now. And he missed that pattern by 2 weeks. You have to file for it within a year, and he missed it. He's like a genius, dude. So we met this dude along the way. I found out that Hairball doesn't even sing their songs. They just lip sync shit. So that was a big no-no for, I was really excited to watch these guys, and you see them, their mouth isn't even moving in the right. Hairball. It's like an Iowa. If you're an Iowan, Hairball is a band that's so, people go crazy for Hairball, yeah. It's like, we're like a bunch of cats. And what happened on the road?
Iowa seems strange, brother. I got to say, Iowa seems strange.
Oh, dude, yes. I come back and my wife is watching Methqueens, which originated in Ottumwa, which is one of the stayover towns that we stayed in this week. But we didn't stay there because it's so fucking dangerous. I stayed in a town before that with my buddy on his farm. So, we didn't want to do this shit. So we didn't ride our bicycle through Ottumwa. We skipped that entirely. We didn't stay there. We didn't ride there. RIP Ottumwa, good town for the people that love meth. But hey, we kind of avoided that. I found out.
What's the name of the town again for our meth listeners?
Ottumwa.
Ottumwa. There you go.
Southeast Iowa, baby.
Go to Ottumwa.
Yeah. Home of the Meth Queen on Netflix or whatever. So, yeah, that was fun. I also narrowly avoided disaster because my tire was about to blow out. And because I was going slow out of the town, I found out that I had a bump in my front tire that I had to get replaced. As I get there to replace it, he's like, yeah, if you were going down a hill and this thing, the bulge on the side burst, you were fucked. At 35, I'm fat. I can go down a hill. I was pushing 40 miles an hour on my bike, so it was a fun time, but avoided disaster. My ass didn't hurt too bad. My legs were strong. I had a blast, drank too many beers, did too many hills, had too much fun. It was a great time, Kenny.
Well, that sounds like a good time. It sounds like Iowa is the place to be if you like riding bikes and you like meth. I'll remember that for future instances right there. I guess I did bury the lead since I am looking a little different today. If you're watching on YouTube, I guess I didn't bring it up. So we're going to the President's Cup in a couple of months. And so I decided that I'm going to dress up like a typical, old school 18th century Korean peasant. So I have my Korean peasant gear with the pants and the shirt, and I got the hat going. Now, here's the problem with this hat. It's firm. I can't pack it or it gets damaged.
Is it metal?
It's sort of like a mesh, something like that. I don't even know. It feels like it reminds me of my trash can, like an upside down trash can, like a waste basket that you have for your desk. That if you're listening on the podcast, you're not getting the full deal. You're gonna have to check this out on YouTube because I'm gonna go ahead and wear this while I am at the President's Cup, following the Koreans for one of their first couple of matches. I think I'm gonna go wear this. I also have a Sungjae Im jersey coming. We'll talk about that more here in the future if things work out. And then so I'm getting all geared up and I'm ready for the President's Cup. Now the issue is this hat I cannot pack. Like I can't put it in my luggage. I can't do anything. So I have to wear this at the airport. And I have to wear it on the airplane because I can't pack it. So I have to wear it. So now I really have to hide my drugs well when I fly out there because, I don't know. I don't know what the rule is for marijuana for cross country lines. I never have a problem with it now, but we'll see how it goes. I might have to hide it, but because I'm definitely going to get searched. I'm contemplating wearing the whole outfit and just like not speaking English, and then that might get me away from like people. They might just think, "Oh, this guy's like super Korean. He's like,
and you just
OG,
take like
the OG triple OG Korean, and that's why he's wearing what he's wearing." I don't know.
Just take a full package of edibles right before you get on the plane, so that you can't even speak properly. You just speak like this broken, stoned as shit English. And I saw this. I think it'll be fine.
I saw this TikTok the other day. It was this guy. He was at the airport and he had a whole bunch of edible chocolates. And so the TSA asked him what type of chocolates these were. He's like, I did normal chocolates, regular. And they're like, all right, well, you have to eat them all right now since they're normal. You go ahead and eat them. And then before you get over there, it's basically to prove to the TSA that it's not marijuana. And so this guy ate like, I don't know how many milligrams of edible of chocolates he ate. But then his buddy basically showed video of him at the airport. Dude was like out of control, like the craziest high I've ever seen. I mean, like for me, that would be the equivalent of eating like 1,000 milligrams. I usually eat like 100 milligrams at a time. And it would be like 1,000 milligrams. He was laying on the ground talking about how like he can feel his eyeball. I don't know, some weird ass shit. So I thought that was hilarious, but we'll see how it goes. I'm sure it'll be fine. And if not, I'll just eat 1,000 milligrams of edibles before I go on the plane, and we'll see how that goes. All right. So before we move on, let's go to a commercial break. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. I personally like the Pick'em games. Pick whether your favorite players will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. Can win up to 100 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a Pick'em entry. Can also make rivals picks, which pits 2 players against each other. Now, the reason I like the Pick'em games is because of these things called scorchers. There's these little chili peppers next to the golfers' names, and if you click on that, it adds to your multiplier, so you can win even more money. Sign up today with promo code Mayo and get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant Pick'em special. Must be 18 or over and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right, so we're back. Underdog segment of the week. We still have not, actually, you know what? Before we do the Underdog segment, let's talk about our YouTube winner. Again, last week in the 4-man with Byron, myself, and Ryan, and whoever the dude was who won last week, I actually won that, so no Tournament of Champions for that man. Sorry. Try again. As you guys know, go into our YouTube page, comments page, type in who you think is going to win this week, and then put in your DK handle. The first correct answer, remember that, The first correct answer. So if you scroll down and see the guy that you want already taken, I would pick somebody else. Okay. The first correct answer gets to go against Byron and I in a 3-man. You beat us in the 3-man, you're in the Tournament of Champions. No one picked Johnny Vegas this past week. The closest we got was Maverick McNeely. So at Matthew Fox 5824, I wonder if that's Jack Shepard from Lost. Not sure. Could be. But Mav McNeely, he picked Mav McNeely. His DK handle is Chai Sox Dude 1. So congratulations. You'll be getting an invite from me for the 3-man. Sounds like a Chicago White Sox fan. They are struggling this year. It really does suck. I am sorry. But I do like that your name is Matthew Fox, because I do like some Jack Shepard. And it's a shame that he's a wife beater and he left Hollywood. So Byron's looking at me like I'm crazy. Did you ever hear that story about Lost? So the guy from Lord of the Rings, Charlie, who was on Lost. I guess Matthew Fox was drunk on a bus one day and got into an argument with a female bus driver and punched her in the vagina and titty. He got off of it. He went to rehab. He was an alcoholic, got DUI. But supposedly him and that dude, Charlie, have beef. And in an interview, they were like, are you glad everyone's going to get back together for some type of reunion? He was like, I'm glad Matthew Fox is not coming because he beats women. Literally, he said that in an interview. So that's the story about Matthew Fox right there, randomly. I just finished watching Lost a couple months ago again, and it's one of the better shows out there. If you're a fan or you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. Go see it. All right, so let's go to our underdog plays. No underdog yet so far as we record this pod. That's going to change. We're going to have to adjust that. We'll work on that starting next week. We'll be having the plays no matter what. We'll just do the pod, and then when the plays come out, we'll record something small for 5 minutes once they come out. And then our great producer, Mike, will do the editing. Shout out to Mike Baxter, our wonderful producer, who deals with both of our craziness and has to deal with all the craziness that has to go on behind the scenes with editing and shit like that. So
there's a lot of editing that has to happen sometimes.
Yeah, there's a good amount of editing that has to happen. One day we'll have to have a thing where we show shit that was not in the pod, and it should be funny. Or we can never show that ever because we'll be canceled and kicked off the internet for all the shit that we said. Now, looking at Le Golf National for this week. Now let's get into it.
It's the Olympics.
It's really hard to focus. I got to say, it's really hard to focus while I'm looking at myself in the screen wearing what I'm wearing. But we go on anyways. Looking at Byron, he put out a really nice model or whatever, table, Excel, I don't know, what the fuck, something. He put it out where it showed each hole and its scoring relative to par for how many years?
Since 2017, the last 5 times they played there.
So the last 5 times they played the French Open at Le Golf National. Yeah. And from what I looked, there are 8 holes that play half a stroke over par. So that means a hell of a lot more birdies. That's 8 holes. And there's only 5 holes that are half a stroke under par. And 3 of them are the par 5s. So if you're looking at strategy this week, I think, you might want to look at it depending on what number the bogeys is. I mean, if it's 3.5, 3, I would crush the over on that. And then if you're looking for birdies, if it's 4.5, 5, like it has been here recently, I would crush the under. Even a 3.5, I would think about the under on the birdies as well. Like I said, only 5 holes with more than half a stroke under par at this course in the last 5 years. So that is something that I will be targeting when it comes down to it. What are you going to be looking for this week?
I'm going to be looking for more updates on the rough, because I think what we've come to know from Le Golf National is that the rough is one of its biggest protectors, along with the little bit of water.
2.5 inches, first cut, 5 yards from the edge of the fairway, 3.5 to 4.5 inches, everything else.
Okay. Because Scotty was mentioning in his presser today that it's not nearly as bad as what he's come to know from Ryder Cups prior, past Le Golf National events.
Well, that's probably because he never hits it into the main cut. He's just hitting it into that first cut.
Well, his caddy was the person that was telling him, Ted Scott was telling him that Bubba, like when he was playing on the Ryder Cup then, was the case. So just pay attention to what these guys are saying about the rough. Maybe it grows out a little bit quicker than we expect, but if it hasn't grown back significantly since, today on Monday afternoon, we could expect some, that's the fun part about this. We've seen how difficult this course is played, but now one of its biggest inhibitors of birdies might be a little bit gone. So just pay attention to that, see if you can find some good graphics of the course, see if the rough is shorter than normal, and then kind of make your adjustments there. If it's the same kind of rough, status quo stuff, it's going to play difficult.
One thing I want to ask you, there could be wet conditions. Now, on a course that's this tight, does wet conditions make it easier because the ball doesn't roll as much, so it's less likely to roll into the rough? Or is it the opposite? Does the rain make the rough even harder to hit out of? As a guy who played, high level golf,
yeah.
What's your take on that?
When it's wet and not ridiculously wet, golf is always easier for professionals. They want the ball to land where they land it. Where it lands, it needs to stop. The more it does that, the more the scores are going to be lower.
And also the course isn't that long.
No.
So even if they, even if the shorter guys are hitting at 280, 290, and there's no roll, you still give them a good chance, mostly because the greens are going to be soft too.
Correct. Because the 6-iron that they're going to have to hit in versus the other guys' 9-irons will land it'll land the same. The 9-iron might be zipping back. The 6-iron might just land where it does and stop. So I think that's kind of what we're going to be seeing this week. If it does firm up, obviously, we'll go back to what Le Golf National, but it's looking, Kenny, like it may be playing a little bit easier than normal.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. But I mean, the thing is, even if it's playing, I know it's going to play a lot easier than the Ryder Cup, but even if it's playing a little bit easier, it's still not going to be an easy course, I don't think. I think if it's wet and soft, maybe you see like -17, -18. If you see something, if it's a little bit firmer, maybe -13. It's one of those like mid-difficulty courses, which is great. It's not a birdie fest. You're going to have to, really play your positions correctly. And I'll go over that here shortly with my course preview. Let's go to our betting segment for this week. I'll go ahead and go first. My first bet's Colin Morikawa, win only, 12-1. I think he's due. It's going to happen at some point in time. He's playing too well. And for me, just the narrative part, I think this is a big deal for him. I think for anybody who is not quote unquote American looking, right? Like me, right? I'm American, or like Colin or something like that. I think it plays. It's a bigger deal for us to represent our country, because we don't look like we should represent the country, right? So we sort of have to prove it. Like, why is this slanty-eyed motherfucker on the goddamn U.S. Olympic team, right? I mean, that's at least what would go through my head if I was Colin going through it, and I would want to prove to them that, I belong here. I don't know if that made sense to people or not, but from somebody who is, an Asian American like him, this is just how I would feel about it when it comes to the Olympics. That I would be really into it. I wanted to show, I wanted to prove that, I am an American. I want Americans to like me, when I perform for our country. And and this could be 100% not true, but in the back of my head, I'm thinking I'm at a disadvantage when it comes to it because I don't look like the other Americans on the team. And because of that, gets a little chip on your shoulder, and you want to rise up to that challenge even more than, I'm not saying the white Americans aren't, they're not right. They don't want to rise up, but I just think it's just that little extra motivation. And of course, I think the course suits him perfect. Accurate off the tee, iron game, his short game has been exceptional here recently. Everything's pointing to him getting a big time win. Now that the majors are over, maybe this is his big win for this year, because you know what he reminds me of, Colin? The way he's playing right now is like a B- version of Xander before he won the PGA for like the last year, 12 months before he won the PGA. He hadn't won an event, no wins, but you could tell the game was there, always finishing top 10, top 15 every single event. And finally, he got that win, and then it exploded to a second major in the same year, right? I can see that happening with Morikawa. I can see him coming in, winning this event, going to the FedEx Cup playoffs, and winning that. Because the game has been there the whole season. He just hasn't been able to do it on Sundays yet. And at some point in time, it's not like he's a fucking lovable loser. The guy has 2 majors on his record. He knows how to win. And I think it is going to happen. And I think it's going to happen this week. So I'm going to go ahead and bet Morikawa. I didn't even take the placements. I didn't do nothing. Just give me 12-1, $100 on him, win only. All right. My next bet is going to be Tommy Fleetwood, 30-1 with 3 places. Again, accurate off the tee. He's won this event before. The event's not in the United States. I like Tommy, short game, accurate off the tee, everything that you need. Tom Kim, 40-1, 3 places. Again, similar to Fleetwood, maybe just a little bit worse short game. Supremely accurate off the tee, great iron game. Has finished top 10 here in the past. I'm going to go Alex Noren, 40-1 with 8 places. 3 places. So those are all 3 places. I know Noren, a couple of top 15 finishes leading up to this event, has won here before. So I'm going with the 3 places at 40-1 for Mr. Alex Noren. Then I'm going to go Victor Perez, 60-1 with 8 places. Home, French, going to be motivated. We've seen him do well in big time events in the past. I like Victor Perez. Emiliano Grillo, 90-1, 8 places. Again, accurate off the tee. Iron game is strong. Short game, he struggles a little bit, but he's been showing a little bit something. He played pretty well last week. And he's shown a little bit of form leading up to this event. And I'll take 90-1 with 8 places for him. No problem. And then Shabankar Sharma, 125-1 with 8 places. Again, really good showing at the Open Championship. A couple of good finishes here in a row. I'll go ahead and take the 125-1 with 8 places for him. Who do you like this week?
I love that, Kenny. And just for those of you that don't know where you can get the 3 places, Bet365 is where I've been getting mine. I'm assuming that's where you've been going, Kenny.
Yes. So if you get the Bet365 and you go 3 places, they give you really juiced outright odds. Because just looking at it, I think you can get like Colin at 20-1 or something like that. And Tom Kim, I think is 20-1, but you can get him at 40 with the 3 places. So it's definitely there. And I think, the thing about this event is it's different. Like people are going to be fighting for third. People are going to be fighting for third. It's not like a normal event where if you're like not in the lead, you're like, whatever. You're going and doing whatever. It's these guys want medals. And so it's a little bit different type of thinking when it comes down to it. I think especially when it comes to showdown. And I'll go over that again here in a little bit, but keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're totally cool. I think that's a good conversation to have because this week the each ways won't get chopped if you do it 3 ways. because you have to get a silver and gold
Yep.
and bronze medalist, right? So
Yep.
if you're finishing, that's the way to go. Top fives might get chopped. You never know because of how that works out. So I'll go with the guys that you've gone with already. Victor Perez. Each way is 3 places. I've gone all my guys 3 places, 140 to 1, Victor Perez. I've got both Frenchmen. I got Mathieu Pavon and Victor Perez in my lineups because I want these guys to get this shit rocking and rolling. Playing in your home country, there's just something about that can inspire these dudes. And if you're going to go...
I mean, we saw it, right? I mean, the French, like, rugby team or Australian rules football team won. Like, and, like, they're not very good. And they beat some, like, good team or something in, like, some round robin in the first round of the Olympics. So, yeah, I mean, that shit happens all the time.
Exactly. So and I think Pavon is a very passionate kind of a guy. I mean, all Frenchmen are. They sleazy, dirty Frenchmen, passionate guys, but it is what it is. We're going to bet on them regardless. So give me both the Frenchies for each way's 3 places there. Then the disrespect on Wyndham Clark at 110 to 1 with 3 places each way as well. This dude has won 3 times in the last 2 years. I get it. And I know everyone's bitching and moaning about Bryson not being in there. If you're looking for somebody who's not playing the best golf, but has the upside that Wyndham Clark does, boom. You know what I'm saying?
Chip on his shoulder, right?
Yes. He, out of all the people there, is going to be saying, like, I need to show you guys who I am. And Wyndham finished 3rd at the RBC Heritage and 2nd at the Players. Those are 2 very similar kind of golf courses. You know, everyone thinks that you have to be long and strong for Wyndham to play well. You know, he played nicely at those venues. So
I'll say this later on. I think the Players, TPC Sawgrass, is a perfect comp for this course.
Exactly.
Outside of the agronomy.
Sure.
Just the way the course is laid out, the hazards, the water, the size of the greens, the narrowness of the fairways, positional off the tee, wide array of yardage distances, especially when it comes to par 4s. I think Sawgrass is a really, really good comp course. And I'm burying the lead when it comes down to my course preview. But, you know, we're here. Keep going.
Let's go, baby. I love it. And then my final guy that I've got so far, I'm still kind of locked down a guy that's at the top of the board, but I got Tom Kim's gone to 33 to 1, Kenny, for those 3-way places. So he's dropped it a little bit, but, you know, I'm late to the party. I've been on my bike all week. So it is what it is. But I like Tom Kim as well. Like on these courses, especially if it's going to play a little easier, gets a little closer to 18, 19, maybe 20. I like what he can do when it gets to those kind of scores. And then I've got 2 top 5 placements for you guys to start off with before I get into it on my show tomorrow night at 7 Eastern on Mayo Media. Colin Morikawa, Kenny, I've got the East race for you there. Top 5, 2 to 1. Plus 200 for Colin to finish inside the top 5. Tyres paid in full. I have the opposite belief in him. He's always inside the top 5 and just never winning. So I'm going to just take my chance on a top 5 with him there and see what he can do. And then Scotty Scheffler, top 5, minus 125. That's one of the most lucrative markets in...
Minus 125.
Minus 125 for a top 5. I'm looking at it right now.
That's not bad.
What are we doing?
I would figure it's like minus 200.
Exactly. So minus 125 for a top 5. You know, Scotty Scheffler, what's basically even money there, and he's just been crushing that market too. So you hardly have to lay much juice to get Scotty Scheffler on your card regardless. So those are my guys. I like them a lot. Tom Kim, Mathieu Pavon, Victor Perez, Wyndham Clark for the outrights, and then Colin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler for the top 5s.
All right, that sounds good. Now, normally I'd go straight to the course preview, but I forgot. I have a story time. This is an Olympic version of the story time with Kenny. I've told the story a couple of times on the pod, but it fits with the Olympic theme. So it was the spring of 1997. We went on I was first chair viola in my high school orchestra, and we went on a high school orchestra trip to Disney World. All right. So first off, a little side note, a little small sub story. We go there. We're at the Magic Kingdom. I eat a whole bunch of acid while I'm there. My friends eat the acid as well. And so we're all tripping our faces off. And we get to the haunted pirate ride, right? There's like a haunted ghost pirate ride that you go on. And at the end of the ride, you know, you're sitting on this little like log or whatever, and there's like a space in between you, and you go in front of a mirror, right? And in the mirror it shows like a ghost sitting in between you and your partner, right? You and the person you're sitting next to. And the guy I'm sitting next to was, he ate the acid that I ate. And literally like freaked out, right? Like freaked out, started like elbowing the fucking chair. Like he literally thought the fucking ghost was right there. And again, acid, LSD, that'll do that. And then we walk around and like, he starts like yelling random shit like out in public. And like, we know it's trouble, right? We know it's trouble. The police come and like, he gets like stretchered out and like, it was wild shit. And the thing is like, there's like 6 of us that ate the acid tour. Like, this is a bad, like tainted acid. I mean, we were fine. We had a good rest of the trip, but that's how like the trip started. And so the trip was already a little weird. So the next day we go to MGM Studios, and they had just opened this ride called the Tower of Terror. It was a grand opening, and so they have a ribbon cutting ceremony, and the person cutting the ribbon was a woman by the name of Carrie Strug. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Carrie Strug, in the 1996 Olympic Games, she was on Team USA's women's gymnastics team. They were in the team competition, and it was coming down to the end. She needed a certain score on the vault. And now Simone Biles made the vault really, really super famous with the crazy Kirilenko triple flip that she's doing nowadays. But so on Carrie Strug, she's one of the last competitors. She needs to hit a certain score so they can win the gold medal, basically. So you get 2 turns on the vault, and your best score counts back then. And so her first turn, she runs, she jumps, she lands awkwardly and sprains her ankle like really badly. Like she could barely walk. And so everyone's like, oh my God, the United States, the hopes are dashed. Like they can't win the gold anymore. And so, they tape it up, give her, whatever, because you don't have that much of a break in between your 2 jumps. And so they fix it up, they tape it up. I don't know if they might have given her some drugs, a shot, cortisone, whatever. And she's hobbling around and everyone's like, oh my God, how can you jump like 14 feet in the air, do spins, and then land? And the thing is, you have to land and not move, right? I mean, that's the whole thing about gymnastics is the finish. When you land, your feet got to be like still, right? To get all the fucking points. So this little midget woman, goes full speed, just running down there, hits that ball, pounds it, does the crazy little flips, and just sticks the fucking landing. Like one of the most memorable moments in U.S. Olympic history. Honestly, like if you talk about Olympic moments in the last 30 years, for Americans, that's probably number 1, right? Because, just the amount of mental fortitude and physical fortitude it took for her to be able to do that was incredible. She became an overnight sensation, right? Wheaties boxes, all this other stuff. And so she was also the ribbon cutter for MGM's Tower of Terror. And so on that trip, when we got there, and again, kids, if you're listening, don't ever do this. It's horrible. We were bad fucking kids, okay? When we got there, we pretended one of us was like, couldn't walk or, I don't know, mentally challenged or something. So we can get a wheelchair, right? So we can go to the front of all the lines, right? And so everyone took turns playing like some disability, right? I was catatonic. So I was like this. I just like, you could take off my hat. Like I just literally just like stayed in it and I didn't move. And like, I barely breathed, right? Again, people listening on the pod, you should probably watch. So I was catatonic, and it was funny because we were on the Muppet Babies Adventure 3D like line, right? And these lines have like these little ramps and stuff for people, like, they go around. And one of them wasn't gated off, and like my buddy who was pushing me around, got distracted, and like the front of my wheel was like right on one of the ramps. And so like he didn't stop paying attention, he stopped holding me, and like so I just started like flying down the ramp. And here's the thing, like I'm catatonic, so I can't like move or stop myself.
Off-brand character.
Or it ruins the whole bit, right? And so I fly down this ramp, run headfirst into the wall, crash onto the floor, and I'm still just like, just like not moving, right? Just like not moving. And like you just hear like this huge gasp from the line behind, like, oh my God. Ah! All my friends are just laughing, right? They're just cracking up. And like all the normal, real people were just in shock. And people running down and like helping me up and like putting me back in the chair. And again, I'm not moving. So I'm basically just dead weight. You know, I'm not as heavy as I was now back then, but still. Put me back in the chair, we get in the line. That was a little funny part. Now, when we get to the Tower of Terror, my buddy, I'll say his name, Nick Goring, right? He's a drama guy, right? He was in drama, a really good actor. He actually works for like the Boston Red Sox, I think, right now. A really, really nice job. He might even be a sports agent, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, so he pretends that he's like paraplegic, like he can't or he can't walk, right? And like he's sort of playing like, you know, with like Down syndrome and paraplegic combined. Again, we were like 15 years old guys. Right? This is horrible shit. All right. And so we're in the line, and Carrie Strug's up there, and she sees my buddy. And she calls us up because she wants like a photo op with like, you know, the mentally challenged person, right? For a good photo op. So we all get in this like photo. All of us are with Carrie Strug. My boy like, you know, he's like basically like pretending, you know, he has like Down syndrome and paraplegic, and so like he's like, oh, thank you. You know, he's doing his little his mentally challenged accent, which is horrible. I don't even want to do it, but I sort of do. Yeah. And he, you know, he thanks her. She gives him a big hug. Oh, thank you. And so we get back in line, and my buddy, like, I didn't know he was going to do this. Like, Carrie, and like he gets up off the wheelchair. Oh my God. And he starts walking to Carrie, like all weird. He's like, I can walk because of Carrie Strug. And at that point in time, she knew it was a fucking pin shoot. Yes. Right.
Holy shit.
I would be heated too. Like, I'm an adult now, right? That shit was horrible, what we did back then. Bad. But it is sort of funny. Okay. It is sort of funny looking back on it. Now, so she's pissed, right? She's heated, blah, blah, blah. We think nothing of it. Like, it's not like we'll ever see Carrie Strug again. Well, 10 years later, I'm dating a girl in Roanoke, Virginia. Her sister runs the Commonwealth Games of Virginia, which is sort of like a faux Olympics for the state of Virginia. And so we get to go to like the opening night dinner, right, with a keynote speaker. Guess who the keynote speaker was? Carrie motherfucking Strug. All right. And so I'm like, she's not going to remember me. And then she gets up on stage and like grilling me, like straight on. I mean, I'm near the front, but she's like looking at me like she knows, she's trying to remember like who the fuck I am. Right. Because so afterwards, we meet her, we talk to her and stuff like that. And she's like, why do you look so familiar? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I tell her the story. She's like, yeah, that was fucking horrible. I remember that. And she was like, she didn't laugh. She didn't laugh. She didn't placate me in any way possible. She's like, yeah, that was fucking horrible. I remember that. And she will turn around and walk away.
Jesus Christ, Kenny.
So that is my Carrie Strug Olympic story. Yeah. So yeah, we were horrible kids. Like I said, we were doing fucking acid at the Magic Kingdom. We were horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck? But yeah, so that is my story time with Kenny Olympic version. Carrie, I apologize. We were kids. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We were kids. All right. So now, anything to say before we move on? No.
I'm just not going to say anything.
I
have questions, but I'm not going to say anything.
We're probably already in so much trouble for even saying that. Me and my touch of Down syndrome accent probably won't go well. All right, so let's get to this week. Many of the world's best golfers head to Paris, France for the Olympic golf event from Le Golf National. This is a no-cut event with around 60 golfers competing. One cool aspect of this event is that it's different than most weeks, like I was talking about. People are going to be fighting for second and third place. I'm trying to be smart and seeing how that would work, especially like final round showdown, and how different that would be when you normally think, but I'm not smart enough to think like that. Plus, I don't play showdown. But maybe I can get some help. And in my write-up on Gump's Corner on Wednesday, I might have something more about that. Now, the pricing also is tough. We'll talk about that. Scotty at 12.5. Yeah, I want to go over that with you in a second. Let's go over the course. The Albatross course at Le Golf National is a 7,200-yard par 71, 4 par 3s, 3 par 5s. The par 3s aren't crazy long, with 2 playing around 170 yards and the other 2 around 210 yards. There are 2 short par 4s around 380 yards. Four are between 450. I'm sorry, 4 are between 400 and 450, and another 4 are between 450 and 500, including 17 and 18, which are extremely difficult holes, all coming down the stretch. The par 5s range from 550 to 580 yards. The French Open on the DP World Tour is played here annually, with the likes of Fleetwood, Noren, Guido, Colsaerts, and Hisatune winning in the last few years. It also hosted a 2018 Ryder Cup, that of course will look and play a bit different. During the Ryder Cup year, all the rough was 3.5 to 4.5 inches. This year, there will be a first cut of rough that goes about 5 yards from the fairway's edge and will be about 2.5 inches long. After that, you'll see 3.5 to 4 inch rough. Off the tee, golfers are going to see narrow fairways with rough, bunkers, and water in play if you miss the fairway. The fairways have severe undulations and mounds. There will rarely be a flat lie on approaches from the fairway. The greens are average to above average in size, and the greens and the grass on the greens is a POA bent blend, similar to what we saw middle of the season on like a bunch of courses back to back to back to back. If you miss the greens, golfers will have to deal with bunkers, water, and thick rough. Scrambling, definitely difficult at this course. To me, this course screams ball striker's paradise with a touch of short game magic needed to complete. Now, course history has been important when it comes to the French Open. 13 of the last 17 winners of the French Open have had a top 25 at least one time prior to their win. Again, comp courses. TPC Sawgrass, I think, is perfect for the way the course is outlined. When it comes to, like I said, positional off the tee, you need to hit fairways, thick rough if you miss, bunker and water in play. Par 4s that vary wildly in distance. I think it's very similar to that. And then if you're looking for like agronomy closeness, I know PGA Tout put this on his write-up. He says that the Canadian courses would be a good look. Like the last 3 years, like Hamilton, St. George, Oakdale, same agronomy and same mid-level type difficulty. So if you could find guys who played well in Canada in the last 3 years and who plays well at the Players, that might be someone to look at this week. We'll have to see. Again, we're not 100% sure on how exactly the course is going to go. We're just going based upon what I've heard so far. So if there's changes, if I was wrong on something, I'll come back Wednesday in my write-up on Gump's Corner and get that fixed. What are you looking for in golfers this week?
Kenny, I think you pretty much outlined it there. I think we've chatted about these guys needing to make, their decisions off the tee, depending on how they want to deal with this rough. Depending if it's thick, you're going to have to probably club down, make sure your accuracy is pinpointed. If it's not so thick, maybe you can be a bit more aggressive off the tee. But at the same time, got these water holes, so there's going to be disaster everywhere. Trying to look for guys that are going to avoid those big numbers, where you kind of making doubles and triples. So guys like Scotty, obviously, would be amazing. Yeah. So that's kind of there. And then I'm thinking with some softer conditions, we're going to see a bit more birdies. That's what I'm going to kind of lean into on the DFS side of things, looking for guys that can make putts. Like if these conditions are going to be softer, you're going to have more birdie opportunities. You're going to make those putts. So I think it's going to provide a bit more volatility to the tournament itself. And the Frenchies, I'm going to lean into those Frenchies a lot. I think it's going to be a very emotionally charged week And I think guys that can handle the emotions well will play well, yeah.
Sounds good. Let's start off on the top. We got Scheffler. We got a big 10K range. It's going to be tough sledding to make lineups this week. Like, can you really make a good lineup with Scotty Scheffler on top? Because the way I'm thinking about this is that when you get down below 8,500, right, the quality of golfer extremely goes down, right? But once you're up 8,500 and above, you got like high-class, world-class golfers that you could pick from.
Yeah.
If you're doing a Scotty lineup, you can have Scotty and one of those guys, maybe. And then the thing about it is, if you go under $6,500, you're just taking guesses. Like it's the doldrums down there. You know what? We don't do this, and I'm just thinking about this on the top of my head. Let's try and make a Scotty lineup.
Okay.
Fucking now. Go ahead and pick you go ahead and pick first. I'll go ahead and pick Scotty. All right. So we're going to go ahead and put Scotty in the lineup. That leaves $7,500 remaining for each player. Who would you want to pick next?
I'll go with like a nice value play and go with Mathieu Pavon at 8K.
So Pavon at 8K. All right. I'll go value as well. And I will go with Victor. Let's go. I'm going to go Griot. Give you a little bit of time. So let's go Griot at 68. It's probably the lowest I would want to go.
But yeah.
So now we're at 7,567 per player.
Yeah, so the $7,600 left. Oh, that's Nick Taylor. Let me click Griot quickly just to make sure it's right. There we go. Okay. Then I'm going to go with Matteo Manacero. He's playing really nicely, Kenny. We're going to take two like middle low tier guys over there and then see what we can do with the 7,850 that we have for the other two. 7K for Matteo Manacero.
I mean, shit. Like, I mean, I'm going to go up to Matsuya Hideki, I guess.
At 88.
I want another stud up there, and I don't want to go farther than that. So I'll go Hideki at 88. You got 69 left.
You want to go Benny on instead of Hideki?
Okay, but I mean, Benny's all right, I guess. Yeah, but I mean, like, okay, let's go ahead and put Benny in there. Let's go ahead and put Benny in there, and let's talk about this lineup because it's not looking good, is what I'm saying. Go ahead.
It's a lot of average guys. You know, that's the thing.
Go ahead with the next. We got 7,500 exactly left. Guido
or Victor Perez?
Okay, let's go Perez.
Yeah.
So if you went Perez, we can actually go up to. No, we can't. So here's a lineup that me and Byron came up with.
Oh, damn, it's nasty.
Scheffler, Ben on, Mathieu Pavon, Victor Perez, Manacero, Griot. Does that sound like a really good lineup to you?
It sounds like a Millie Maker type of lineup. You know,
exactly.
It's just
so here's the thing. Because of this, because of how difficult it is to get a Scheffler lineup that is pleasing to the eyeball. And honestly, that's the majority of people that play the casuals, right? They want it to look good when they look at their lineup. They want to have a good feeling when they look at their lineup. Could we see Scotty out of the top 3 highest owned this week?
Very likely, especially with Xander.
Maybe even top 5? Outside the top 5? I mean, I might just run it because we've seen some wild shit at the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
With like fucking Sabatini getting
CT Pan.
Yeah. CT Pan beating out Rory, Hideki, all these other crazy studs in a 7-man playoff to win bronze. Right?
Literally.
So we've seen crazy fucking shit happen at this event already. I think it's worth playing Scotty. I think it's worth playing Scotty, even if you can't really get. I mean, you're gonna have lineups that are like, what the fuck am I doing here, right? And I think that's okay. And I think I'm gonna ride with him. The thing is, if I don't, then I have a bunch of decisions to make. But I think I'm gonna go Scotty and skip everybody else to Aberg until Morikawa. Because Morikawa is my first cash game cornerstone for the week. Again, we've talked about him during the bet. Pretty easy. Why? He's my first cash game cornerstone. But I think if I haven't decided yet, if I'm going to play Scotty, I'm not playing anyone else outside of Morikawa, and I might even go like 80% Scheffler,
Scotty.
because that'll give you more varieties of shitty lineups to make, right? Basically, is what it comes down to. You put it in your lineup generator over at Gump's Corner or Fantasy National or Rotoballer or wherever, right? You make your lineups, go like 70, 80% Scheffler, go like triple, quadruple the field, and then you have more opportunities to get the right
mix and match.
Yes, for the other guys. I think that's the only way you can play Scott this week. I don't see like going 40% double the field. I just don't think you're going to have enough unless you're doing like 150 lineups. If you're doing like 50 or less, I don't think you can do the partial Scotty. I think you need all Scotty, and I'm tempted to do that. I haven't decided, but I'm tempted.
You're spitting some fire now, my friend. I think I'm liking it a lot because Xander is $900 cheaper. He's just won the second major of the year.
He's going to be 35% owned.
He's the defending gold medalist at this thing. Like, people are going to be like, you know what? I don't want Manastera.
I take Scotty when I can have Xander, right?
Exactly. He's arguably a better player than him right now, so
yeah.
I don't think he is, but I think, people will be telling themselves that at this price. So I think that's definitely, and then Rory is going to be $1,400 cheaper than Scotty as well. So those two guys are going to be nuts. Rahm just winning in
I think Rahm might be one of the, I think Rahm and Xander. Rahm, Xander, Cowell, I think are like the big three there.
Yeah.
I think Rory might be looked past. I think it's possible. With him being surrounded by Rahm and Xander, Rory could be pitched out. He could be another guy that you might want to think of. I mean, shit, maybe I go 70% Scheffler, 30% Rory, just start every single one of my lineups with one of those two dudes. I don't know. We'll see.
They finish inside the top five so often, and then you've got your top five guy,
Yeah. I think Scotty and Rory are the two guys that I'm going to be thinking of tremendously when it comes to this week. In the 9K range, you know what? I don't like the guy, but I really like Shane Lowry this week. Like, I really, really like Shane Lowry this week, especially on courses that are with thicker rough and narrower fairways. He actually ranks number 1 in my model.
He's hyper accurate.
I really like Shane this week. I didn't quite put the bet on him because I couldn't bet Morikawa and him. It was just going to be too much overloading. I'm already slightly over budget. Usually I try and make 7 units total of bets. I'm like 7.4 units. Unit for me is $50. So like I put in like 370. I usually try and cap out at 350. But I'm already at 370.
Once every 4 years, bud. Go nuts.
I'm not that far over, but I can't. And this is to win 28 units. So something like that. But I really like him. My second cascade cornerstone is Tommy Fleet. Again, winner in the year pass, accurate off the tee, short game's great. Third cascade cornerstone, Tom Kim. Again, accurate off the tee, iron game's great, short game above average, top 10 here in the past. So the first 3, this is the thing about rostering Scotty. Like, I can roster Fleetwood, Morikawa, Tom Kim, and still have no one under $6,800, right? And only one 6K golfer. Like, you could do that. And that's why I think it just, the way the lineup seems to be being made, most people want 2 or 3 of these guys. And it makes a lot of sense. But when you're playing GPPs, I mean, I'm not the best. I'm not a good GPP player. I'll tell you that right now, right? But I mean, what I've learned from Tambo and guys at Brad who have been on the show who are really, really good, you sort of zig when people zag, right? Especially when it comes to lineup construction, not necessarily the golfers you roster, but the way that you make your lineup.
Yeah.
I think that's why I think Scheffler's ownership could be down. I think sub 22%, maybe sub 25%.
We could see in the teens. I'm thinking teens because I know it's a 60-man field, but like you said, Kenny, we tried so hard, dude. Even if you put like Campos in there at 6K, you are just digging through the dumpster, bud. And it's like, people are not going to click these names.
The one benefit you do have is there's no cut. So all four guys are going to be playing So if you could find some like random ass, birdie maker who's down there in that 6K range, let's see, the first 6K guy, Matty Schmid, is the first one that comes up for my rankings. He's 14th in birdie or better percentage the last 15 rounds. But I mean, those are, again, when you look at stats, these aren't going to be
not pretty, dude.
Yeah, well, they're not great because most of these guys don't play on the PGA Tour, so you're not going to get their full baseline. So when you're looking at certain sites, it's going to be tough to really get a gauge on. So, yeah, it's a tough week, man. It really, really is. Who do you like in a 9K?
In the 9s, I'm a big fan of Tom Kim this week. I'm a big fan of that. I will even go to you with Shane Lowry, but he's not going to be like my second or third guy. I'm sorry. He's going to be my second or third guy. I'm not going to ever start with him because he's calling for the ball to get rolled back after pretty much throwing away the Open Championship. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I get it, yeah.
Dude, you're a loser. Like we get it.
That's
just finish inside the top 5 for me.
I didn't bet him, but I think DFS wise, I think it could be a play. Yeah,
DFS wise, he's a great second or third guy in. I don't trust him to be my number one. I think, like you said, the Canadians. I mean, I'm trying to get to the 8,900 range there with Connors, but I like him a lot. If I'm thinking that it's going to go low, I'm not a fan of Tommy Fleetwood. He's going to show us that one deep round and then kind of hit neutral again.
Yeah, but how low is low as you're talking about? Because I don't see this course getting to like 20, no matter the conditions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking 13 to 17, even if it's easy. I think it's
I was 17. Thinking like 15
what's the
19,
the best score that's been here has been 17 under, right? Yeah. So I mean,
but with the rough, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Kenny. I have no freaking idea what's going to go on here, but you got to pick a lane in DFS as well, right? And if you pick a lane that's less traveled, you can go as fast as you freaking want, as long as there's no cops there. So, yeah, Neiman is going to be popular. I think he's a ball striking beast and not in a major. So I'm down. Give me him. And then, like you said, Larry, I like it.
Yeah, I think Tom is going to be fine in this type of situation. Yeah, I think, but we'll see. We'll see. I've been wrong before. Speaking of being wrong, I think we forgot something. We forgot about the Burns.
I know exactly where this is coming. God damn it.
Burns Minwoo Lee. Double or nothing. 16 ounces of butterfish going down your butthole here real soon. We'll have to figure out how and when that is going to happen. I will think maybe I'll look at restaurants in your area and see if any serve it, or I mean, maybe I can like hit up a seafood joint there, like a nice seafood joint. Call him and be like, "Yo, he'll pay for it also, but I will promote the fuck out of your restaurant on my show. Just make him a piece of butterfish for me. That's like 16 ounces because you're only supposed to eat 6. I'm thinking President's Cup too, but I don't know.
No, there's no fucking way I'm going to Canada and shitting myself. I've left.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: we would do it at night. We would do it at night after we do everything, because it only took me like an hour and a half, 2 hours for that shit to run down my butthole. So if we're like done for the day and we eat dinner around 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock or something like that, I think you can have some butterfish, and then then we'll take a picture, and then later on you can, throw your underwear on the floor and we'll take a picture of it or something like that. Yeah, or some shit. We'll figure it out. We'll have to figure it out. But that's definitely going to happen. I can't wait for you to have oily fish butt here in a little bit. Anyways, 8K range. Who do you like in 8K range? You said you like Connors.
Yeah, I do not like Minwoo Lee anymore. Obviously.
Yeah, no more Minwoo.
Yeah, no more Minwoo. It's now maximum who is wearing what, but Benny Hahn, I'm all frazzled now. Corey Connors, Seb Straka. I'm just like feeling down, like this is not fun and Minwoo had a had a 5-shot lead on Sam Burns going into the second round. It was an 11-shot swing in round 2.
Yeah. Your guy missed the cut. Yeah, that hurts. That's bad.
Pavon, Clark, on. Like that low range right there. I like all 3 of those guys a lot.
I can't, even though Clark has that chip on his shoulder, I can't get on. The guy's playing like straight ass. And this is like the worst course fit for him.
He had a top 10, 2 top 10s before the Open, and putting well. I like that about him.
Now, I like Decky. I like Decky here. I like Decky at $8,800. Seems like a value fucking price for a guy who's won at Riv earlier this year with way better competition. A guy who's better at events that aren't like 24 under par. A guy who has played well at the Players Championship, which I think is a great, great comp for this course. I don't hear anyone talking about him, which just confuses me. $8,800. The guy was in a playoff for 3rd place last time, right? I like Decky a lot here this week. He's going to be my favorite play in this 8K range, and it's by a lot. I'll play a little Giuseppe Straka. I'll play a little bit of him because the man just tends to step up in big occasions, right? He's sort of like a chubbier Austrian version of midget mini Brooks Koepka. Like if Brooks Koepka had a mini-me, like Brooks Koepka, then maybe it would be Sepp Straka.
You almost look like you're wearing the Dr. Evil outfit, Kenny. Like with the gray.
Same syllables. Same number of syllables. Brooke, we're going crazy this week on narratives. Brooks Koepka, Sepp Straka. Yes, he's like, a little mini-me when it comes down to it. So I like Sepp. Let's go to the 7K range. This is when it gets a little bit tougher. Abe Answer, somebody who traditionally the way he plays should fit this course. Shit ton of fairways, really good iron play. He's something, can be average or above average chipping and putting. I like him. Guido, former winner here. Give me a little bit of Guido, who's had some good finishes here recently. Thorbjorn Olesen, again, another guy who has played this course well in the past. I already talked about my love for Victor Perez this week. Højgaard, there's another guy. Actually, you know what? Looking at the 7K range, I sort of like it now a little bit more than I thought. There are definitely a good amount of guys that I think you can get behind when it comes down to it. Who do you like?
I like Menacero, and like you said, Victor Perez. I like him a lot this week. I fancy him for a good week. And then Ryan Fox, I know he doesn't ever seem to fit the bill, but I prefer him across the pond. I prefer him playing for his country versus playing on American soil. And like you said, Answer, I think will be a little sneaky option there for sure, along with the rest of those gangs there. But yeah, like the bottom, I'm liking a lot of the bottom of these ranges for some reason. So that's kind of making me feel good about Scotty Williams too.
Sounds good. Let's go to the 6K range. My final cash game, Cornerstone's Emiliano Grillo. Decent finish last week. Above average with his irons. Above average with his fairways. Good drives are really strong. And when he does miss the fairway, he hits the green a lot. So I do like him as my final play at $6,800. So my 4 cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Morikawa at $10,200. Tommy Fleetwood at $9,500. Tom Kim at $9,200. And Grillo at $6,800. That leaves like 14.4, 14.3. It's not a lot. But again, there's guys in that lower 7K range that I do like a Victor Perez, like a Guido, Thorbjorn Olesen. There's guys there that you could plug in and play. And even a Pavon or something I think would be fine. So those are my cash game cornerstones for this week. I like Nick Taylor. I just like Nick Taylor. Whenever there's like a lot of good players and stuff like that. And again, the Canadian Open comp with his win last year. Shabaka Sharma, again, really good showing at the Open Championship. Again, another accurate golfer off the tee who has above average iron play. So I like Sharma. CT Pan He showed his medal at an Olympics before. He's sort of proven he knows he can handle this pressure. Anybody who can beat a 7-man playoff against Rory and Hideki and God knows who else is in that fucking playoff to win, they got to get a little bump up there. I'll go ahead and take him. That's about it, really, for me.
Yeah.
Who do you love?
You've said so many of my guys I like too. I like Pan a lot. And Nick Taylor, Kenny, he's the perfect 6K guy for a Scotty lineup. Because when he's playing well, he's playing well. When he's playing shit, he's playing shit. You know what I'm saying? You don't want him to be floating in the middle of the pack. That's what you're wanting from a 6K guy, to give you that upside that you're looking for. I think he's exciting. Sharma, Pan, and then Daniel Hillier has been playing quite nicely. I think he recently on the PGA, on the Euro Tour there. And then my guy, Campos, Rafael Campos. I'm going to be playing him at 6K flat. He's a ball striker, Kenny. That guy can strike the ball, and he's 6K. So give me him as my final 6K option. I'm not going to be playing too many lineups this week. I think I'm going to be kind of just playing some single entries again.
Maybe a little Chris Ventura. We a little Norway action, little Hovland action right there with him. Maybe that can rub off a little bit. I don't know.
Kenny, what's your opinion of stacking nations together, like Ventura with Hovland? Just I know there's zero correlation really, but if you see your buddy playing well, okay. I'm just
what about Hovland though? Is anyone going to play him at that price? We just literally didn't even speak of him, and he's like the 8th highest priced guy this week. He's the 8th highest price. Shane Lowry is priced higher than him, and the thing is, when you look at it again, when you put the filters, narrow fairways, hard to hit fairways, thick rough, he's right behind Lowry in my model.
Yeah, it's just so hard to trust this dude right now. He's not playing good golf, dude. He's not playing good golf.
I want to play him.
I think ownership numbers will have to determine if we go there, but I don't even know if I want to do that.
Sub 10% Hovland this week? No, right? No.
I think so, because there's so many good guys around him again, like you mentioned. Like, everyone's going to want to play Neiman, Fleetwood, Lowry, Colin. That's what they're not going to. Everyone's going to be wanting to play safe, balanced builds, and I think.
Jesus.
Maybe
if
Hovland
you're telling me that Hovland is the pivot off Shane Lowry, Tommy Fleetwood, Tom Kim, Alex Noren, who are all going to be chalky, and the pivot is Hovland?
Just the world we live in, my man.
99 out of 100. You're like, sign me the fuck up, right?
In 2023.
It's sort of wild that we're not thinking that. And now that I'm saying it aloud, I'm fucking thinking it. I mean, that just seems fucking crazy to me. That because Morikawa's, and that's fine. Morikawa as rightfully should be higher owned. But I feel like Lowry's going to be higher owned. I feel like Fleetwood's going to be higher owned. I feel like Tom Kim is going to be higher owned. Or any of those guys really as good as Victor Hovland?
Right now, yes. Maybe better. But, talent-wise, he can. He's definitely more talented than the rest.
I'm playing Hovland now. I just talked myself to fuck into it. I got to figure out who I'm not playing Noren anymore.
No
Noren.
Hovland's got the most upside, I would say, of all of those guys.
Give me Hovland. I mean, that just makes too much sense, man.
Yeah.
I just as a pivot, 25% would be double the fucking field.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. Anybody else do we miss?
Scotty Hovland leaves you with 69.50. So you got to find one value.
So you got to go down. So if you're gonna do that, you got to go Scotty Hovland, and then go down to down to Campos.
Let's go Campos, and then
So if you go down Scotty Hovland and you go to Campos, that leaves you
72.66.
72.66 each. That means you're going to need at least another 60K.
Nick Taylor.
You got to throw in, let's throw in Taylor in there. So you throw in Taylor at 67. That leaves you 75.5. So technically, you could go to if you want to do superstars and scrubs, you can go up to a Decky. You can go up to a fucking Straka and then hit up a 6,500 Sharma. You can go 6,500 Sharma and
so
Straka.
filthy.
or you go like Decky and Ventura. So like you can go like, if you want to go superstars and scrub, Scheffler, Decky, Hovland, Campos, Taylor, Ventura. I mean, again, no cut event.
Yeah, 3-6K guys.
Like, the more I fucking think about this, the more I think I'm going to roster the fuck out of Scotty and say, fuck it. And then have lineups like these where you're going to have my 6K. I'm going to have to add some more 6K guys, or fucking Shabaka Sharma's going to be 35% owned personally for me, which is not what I want. Not what I want, but I'm going to have to figure that. You said Daniel Hillier? I'm just going to have to like pick name. Like if someone just like breathes someone's name in the 6K, I'm like, click,
let's go.
Click, and give me 100% Scotty. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Just talking this out. Anything else you want to talk about before we head out? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, I think that was a good one. I enjoyed this show.
All right. Sounds good. Tell them where you can find you, bro.
Oh, boys, girls, find me at rotoballer.com. Find me on Mayo Media Network tomorrow at 7 Eastern for Back 9 bets. I'll be doing all my bets for the week. Already gave you a few of those already. And then rotoballer.com, you're going to find all my stuff out there. And then Twitter, X, at the Model Maniac.
All right, remember, go to Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code Mayo. Get yourself a deposit bonus up to $250. Also, go to our YouTube comments page. Make sure you write down or put down who you think is going to win and your DK handle. If you will pick the correct winner and you're the first one, you will go up against Byron and I in a 3-man next week for a chance at your spot in the Tournament of Champions. You can find me on Twitter, on X, at KendoVT. You can find my article every week on GupsCorner.com. Use promo code Kenny. Save yourself 30% on a sub to Gups Corner. All right, should be a fun week. You know what? We got to talk about one more thing before we finish this shit up. All right, I forgot about this. And for the people that are listening, I'm glad, because you're all the true OG triple OGs. I have a problem. I don't have a problem. I don't understand how Ben On is on the Korean Olympic team. He's never served in the Korean military. He's never going to serve in the Korean military. How is he still a citizen of Korea? I don't understand how that works. He says, now I talked to him about this, and he said that since he wasn't living in Korea and he was living in America during the time that he served, that he didn't have to serve. Now, I know the answer to this question, but why don't more people do that? If that's the way to do it, and the answer for that is you're basically like almost shunned by like the older culture in Korea. Like if you don't serve in the military, if you live in Korea and you don't serve, you get thrown in jail. If you leave the country like I did, right, or like if you left the country just to eliminate military service, like coming back, I didn't think you can become a citizen again. That was what I thought, and I guess I'm wrong, but I know for a fact that like the older class would definitely like look down upon you, and like they still have that like crazy honor thing in Korea where like that's super, super important to yourself and your family, right? And so I don't understand how Ben found a loophole. Again, this is just random. I don't think you'll have an answer, Byron, but I just wanted to talk about this on the show, and no one's going to be, because everyone turns off.
Signed out already.
Once they know we're signing off. So you get a little bonus today. Like, I love Benny Ann, and like, but I just don't understand.
Do you think it's maybe medical to do with his eyes? I know this is really bad to say, but he's a little cross-eyed. I don't know. Does that maybe. Can you shoot a gun if your eyes? I guess if you're looking at how he plays golf, he shoots straight. But like,
you know what? I don't know. That's really the only way you can get out of it is because of health.
Medical, yeah.
Maybe that's it.
I don't know.
I don't know, because it is very, very strange to me. Like, before I became an American citizen, if I went back to Korea, like if I never became, I don't know how it worked, but if I like lived in America illegally, and like, I came to America when I was like 3 and just lived here until I was like 32, right? And then I never got my citizenship here, and I never changed, because in Korea you can't have dual citizenship. You can't do it. So it's not like he had an American passport. Like there's no way that, but even though he was living here, so he still had a Korean passport. But I don't understand how he didn't serve. I don't understand.
What's the age limit?
Like 31, I think.
Because he's born in September 1991. So yeah, he's probably 32 by now. Then, right?
Yeah, he's 32 now. So now he would be too old to serve.
Yeah.
So was he able to just come back and get his fucking shit? Because I mean, like, why didn't so many other golfers do that? Like, I don't understand. Like, another thing is like doing that, like I said, can get you shunned. Like, maybe he found a loophole. Have you ever seen him like hanging out with Koreans? Like on tour? I don't know. I'm just talking out loud. Byron, I know no one's listening and I'm high as a fucking kite. So I just want to keep on rambling and talking about the subject because it's interesting to me. And I know there's like 8 people that have stayed on to listen to it. So I could say whatever the fuck I want. And it really, really doesn't matter because I ate like 150 milligram edible about like 30 minutes ago and haven't eaten anything all day. But I do want to talk about fucking betting out. Now, what's it like in South Africa? Like, can you have dual citizenship?
Yes, you can. And it's easy to do too.
And there's no like mandatory military service or anything like that for you guys?
No, it's just mandatory to get stolen from, I guess, if you're living there. So just
get stolen from. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't see. But the thing is, like, I feel if I go to the President's Cup and then we're able to like ask questions, like I feel like that would be a horrible question to ask. Like, I probably shouldn't ask that, right?
Why did you turn your back on the country and its military service?
Some shit like that. Like, how the fuck are you a Korean citizen and you did not serve your 2 years in the military? You'd be like, well, my sight is all fucked up. And I'd be like, oh shit, that's right.
Yeah,
my bad dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, my bad dog.
Did not see that.
Why did you just say that shit when I first talked to you about this on Twitter? Instead of being vague as fuck about it. Vague. That's what made me like super curious about it, because like when I talked to him, he answered, but his answers were like super vague, like not specific. And I'm like, I still don't understand, Ben, and then nothing. Yeah, like I don't know. It's just a question because for people my age and older, like if you didn't serve, like, and I mean, you look down upon, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
maybe they just have too much respect for their country, the other guys. I don't know. We can ask him. We'll ask him in Canada, Kenny. We'll pin him down.
Like a horrible question to ask. He would just cause an uproar, and I'd be in like some international incident with like the Korean media and shit like that. My dad works for the Korean government, so that shit would not fucking work. Like he works for like the president, like, and so that probably would not be the best. You're like, yo, is that your fucking son on the TV? What the fuck did he just ask?
Why is he weird?
My dad is used to just shaking his head and thinking about me throughout his whole entire life. So he'd be like, he should lie. Be like, that is not my son. I would be okay with that, Dad, if you're listening right now. We do have like a couple of listeners from South Korea. And I told my dad about the pod. So it's possible he is one of them. Well, we'll see. And if you are listening, Pops, why didn't you tell me about fucking grandma? Fucking klepto ass, fucking grand larceny, fucking grandma. Why didn't you tell me about that shit? Like, that feels like shit that I should have known. Like, that she was like Ocean's octogenarian out there with a fucking crew just robbing Potomac Mills Mall week in and week out. I had lunch with her last week. Sweetest fucking old woman. Like, and the craziest thing is, like, less than 10 years ago, she was arrested for burglary tools. What the fuck are burglary tools?
Burglary tools?
How does an 82-year-old fucking Asian Korean woman get arrested for goddamn fucking burglary tools? Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
That's a great question.
Like, I don't understand. Pops, why didn't you tell me? All right, that's enough. Show's over. Let's win some motherfucking money. DJ Nation. All right. There's got to be a blooper.
The best.
Wait, so repeat that again. What did you say? Your wife is what?
She's a special ed teacher, Kenny.
What the fuck are you? So you allowed me to tell this joke.
Hey.
Did you say something, dog?
I mute my mic and I just watch.
Well, fucking tell her not to listen to this goddamn show, all right?
Oh, yeah. No.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words. I done popped the